Hello, friends. This is Susan Inspired, and you are at the Schumann Resonance Review. We are going to look at the energies of the chart today, and I will talk a little bit about something inspiring, hopefully. It's been inspiring me, so. We have on the chart a sort of a big expression of energy today, and that is this right here. And we'll get into that in a moment. First, if you could like the video, if you could subscribe to the channel, and please share my videos. The sharing really, really helps me, and also the likes and subscribing. It helps me with the algorithms to the extent that those are active and promoting content on media, social media. So that's why hand distribution by sharing really is the way to go in these times. So I thank you for doing that. I also wanted to thank Christine on Twitter who pinged me, and she it was so awesome because I could tell that you have been watching my videos. Of course, we've communicated on social media before, but she just nailed it, like how I would have normally interpreted the videos the past couple of days. I thought that was so awesome. So thanks for pinging me. Okay. To me, the theme of the current day is heart strong. To not only find the light within you, grow that light if you feel resonant with that, expand that light. You don't have to do it out into the world, because right now there's a lot of right now it's almost like energetically we can and cannot affect the exterior, okay? By that, what I mean is your biggest impact on the world around you right now, this is my interpretation, is to affect yourself, change yourself. Because that literally becomes reflected in the world around you in surprising and amazing ways, and, my friends, miraculous ways. What I saw on the chart today, there was this big black line here. Oopsie. Some of my artistic work there. There was this big black line, and to me, it was like a hard stop. And then we get into this gateway again, similar to the images on my last video. So in the last video, I had talked about how there was a transformation within the gateways. Here was a clearing. And before that, yeah, there was this. So watch the last video, and I believe the last video is called, I don't remember. Anyway, it's about transformation. So it's like something was trying to come through the gateway. There was a massive transformation. Now, here's the other thing. I encourage you to go back and watch my video from September of 2019. I talk a lot in that video about how the towers from that event 20 years ago have shown up many, many times on the Schumann resonance. In 2019, it was like over and over and over and over. And it's like an echo in our minds. And I believe Greg Braden has a presentation. I've seen it long ago, but where he shows how 9/11 had an effect on scientific data, where human consciousness clearly, the shock of that day, what was reflected in the actual data, because the data like jumped on that day, and it anyway. So what I'm saying here is that this is a global event that's in our human consciousness, and we are coming up on the anniversary. I have a beautiful video called Finding the Light, and I will link it here, but where I interview a person who sorry, just thinking about them, who lived through that day, a short distance from New York City, and whose family member was in the city and walked out. And so it is a very dramatic and very personal look at that day. And we talk a lot about the light of the divine and how it was present. We show images. So I'm going to link that below. And I'm going to ask that you share that with people who would benefit in your view. We don't address anything controversial. We don't address any politics in that video. It's specifically for heart healing around that day. Okay, so what I wanted to say is that you have these obvious, here's the left and the right, one here. Here you have another one, the left and the right. These gateways, very much like the two sides of a building here again. And you can even say that it's a little bit 3D here. The 3D buildings are what was appearing on the chart. So it was interesting to me that the tower representation has been more flat here. There's been real transformation of these images over the last few years on the Schumann. And then today, we get it like this. Okay, so here, this is today's chart. So here you have just the tower. If I look at this straight on, it's like looking at, not only is it like looking at the tower, okay, I worked in New York City some time ago, some years ago when the towers are still up. And I remember standing at the bottom of the tower looking up. And it's incredible how with the technological effect now that this actually looks like what the towers looked like, because they had these steel bars and they were periodically spaced very close together. And this is literally what it looked like, a huge tall building going way up into the sky, both of them, with these lines up and down the whole length of the tower. And what I see in this image today, and now in my video from 2019, you see both towers next to each other, and you see the building, the explosions too in the images, because the explosions were about here and about here. And what I see today is the transformation of this. And really, this is the most healed I've seen this image approaching, approaching the anniversary in 2 days. But it's incredible. And look how strong the green line is here. Okay, that's at 20 hertz. Our beta, this corresponds, the Schumann resonance corresponds with human brain waves coincidentally. And so how I interpret this is that at 20 hertz, our mid-beta range, so analytical, complex thinking, we're paying attention, and look how thick the line is here. Okay, we're really, really paying attention to what is going on. And thank goodness humanity is doing that. So I'm interpreting the chart images as a reflection of human consciousness. I just want to acknowledge that. Now, so what I see here is a transformation. Like here you have boom, 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 and you no longer have the explosion on the side showing in the images, but you have this here. Okay, boom, boom. I don't know what it means. I wonder if it's like where the placing of certain items in the tower were that may have exploded. Who knows? And there's, again, at 8 hertz, we have a lot of this, I want to call it pokey data. We have a lot of this, little black dots, but we still have the gems showing as well, the gorgeous purples. And then I believe, look at that. Okay. This is in the / subconscious, unconscious range of human brain waves. And This here is in the very close, it's in subconscious, but very close to alpha. Okay, and this is about 7.83 to 8 hertz, or a little higher. So there's still a lot of parasites all up in our waking thinking, but I think that what's happening is this is bubbling up from below. And you have the good energies right here supporting us in doing this. It's a hard time. These are not easy energies. So it's like here, it's like in slow motion, something coming at the tower, but it's not shown hitting it. Okay, so I think what this is we are rethinking what happened. Okay, and here we have a 3, which is magical. Okay, it is how spells are cast using 3s, but it's also in 3D and 4D magical energy. And oh my goodness, I just saw this turn into a mean devilish face for a moment there, like looking at the tower. Ha ha, sorry you can't get to it. Sorry. I just have to laugh. Laughter at the plans of the dark forces is the strongest, but besides light, one of the strongest ways of and powerful ways of dealing with the forces of darkness. They really hate it when you laugh. When you laugh in their face. Just not engaging with the forces of darkness, but allowing it to bubble up from the heart, because that's when we're free and clear, sovereign in our own energy field. Okay, so even though we don't see the impact here in today's chart, what we do see is the great transformation that is happening. Now, last year when we made, my friend and I tend to do something around 9/11, the past few years. Either we do it privately or we do it together. And or I write an article. Every year since 2015, I've been publishing articles on this date in memory, because I view that day as reflecting the strength of Americana, the strength of who we are. And if you look at the photos from that day, and the day after, I went and I bought every magazine on the grocery store shelf, and I have photos of that day, which are, from major news organizations, so I'm not going to put them up here. But what it shows is people of all colors helping each other, of all races, of all religions. Like, obviously no one cared about that day. People were just simply helping other people. They were peacefully leaving the city together, all races, all people, all just Americans who had suffered a traumatic event. And to me, it reflected the way that the New Yorkers got through that day and the rest of the country. It reflected like the best of who we are. And that's what I wanted to say. Yeah. So in the rest of the images here, you could perceive it as like a gateway here and a gateway here. And I thought about that, but what really works for me in terms of just looking at how the energy is moving and how it feels to me is it, once again, just like on my last video where I talked about this in that image, it feels multidimensional to me. So meaning boom, 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 boom. When I look at energy multidimensionally, sometimes I work with people in sessions where we are looking through layers of lifetimes. And sometimes those lifetimes will be in different dimensional states of being, because they may be on Earth, they may be in alternative realities, they may be on other planets, they may be elsewhere in the galaxy. And so what will happen is it's almost like it's almost like looking at, when you look at a mirror and then there's multiple mirrors around that mirror, like in a dressing room is a good example of that, when there's usually 3 mirrors or more, or in your typical fun house where you look in one mirror and then there's all these multiple reflections. To me, that's how the facets of the soul, of lifetimes, of expression in the created realities, that's how it looks. And to me, that's how this looks. Like, I really feel that when you have an event like this, it becomes existent in many alternate realities. And the reason why is so many people are focused on it. So many people are involved that there are just so many ranges of experience. And how I think of it is that the Creator is extremely curious and runs different scenarios through us. See, how did it work this way? What if this happened? What if this happened? What if we looked at it this way? And so that's why there are many stories and people hold to those truths, different from mental illness, okay? Different from a mental illness where a person can't handle their reality for whatever reason. You can have reflections of various realities among different people where they are all true, because that's how those people live through it. That's a story for possibly another day, or maybe not. I'm just explaining how I see multi-dimensions. And when you look in energy, when I look in energy at a person's field and I'm giving the information, there's a whole set of energy parameters that are set up first that allow us to do that safely, in alignment with the highest good, etc. I have seen it this way, where it's just amazing, just like the layers of realities, the layers of experiences. And you see this great transformative energy here, okay? And it's also going all through, quote unquote, the matrix, and very, very much so in the waking state here of alpha, but into the subconscious right in here, subconscious right about here, and then the unconscious here, very, very much so. So a lot is going to be brought to light, or is coming to light. Now, maybe like many of you, I had hoped that this anniversary would be one where we would get significant information. And I have seen sort of the latest piece pop up. It's a review of what our president at that time was doing and what the children were saying when he sat watching them in the classroom as he read his little book. So if you haven't seen that clip, look for it online. I'm not going to talk about it in detail here. It's just another piece of the puzzle coming to light. I had hoped that more would come to light. But I think instead what we're going through globally is part of the healing of this event from a much, much bigger perspective. That it's not even really about this event anymore. It's about the forces behind it that caused it. And I've always I've always called these, quote unquote, the bad guys when I explain it to people. And that the bad guys are not attached to, although they may have been resident in certain nations or citizens of certain nations, they don't represent a nation. They don't represent a particular human group. They represent, well, ultimately the forces of darkness. Let's just put it that way. Now let's look behind and take a look at the charts. I wanted to show you something here. In the frequencies right now, the experience in green is significantly below 25.2. For some reason, this appears to be an important level. I don't know why. It's kind of in the mid-range of the frequencies, because the frequencies go much higher than 25.2, but this is where the movement is right now. And so we're kind of restricted in this 1.2 to 1.5, but there's only a few little peaks there, frequency range from 25.2 to 24. But as I have said on other videos, and you can go back and watch my videos on this from around March, April of 2020, when the pandemic hit, the green frequency it was almost like we were hiding out below 25.2. Every time we had, at that time, every time we peaked up above 25.2, an image of a karyotype would appear, genetic karyotype would appear on the chart. And I took that as a measure of the strength of the virus at that time. It was quite fascinating. I'm not going to go into detail on it here, but for whatever reason, that's where we are again. And given what the energies are like at this point, it's almost like a protective measure that we are operating within this range. It somehow protects us, and I don't know why. Again, the amplitudes here were stronger than I thought they would be. The peak of the gateway image transformation was here at 51. You have 36 in yellow, 27, and then 21. So it's moderately strong, pretty strong in the white resonance, and that's for this right here. Okay. Yeah. Then I want to show you something about the qualities, which is really interesting. So the qualities, in my view, is it's like the strength of who we are, right? The strength of what this resonance, not the strength, strength is amplitude, a reflection of the pureness of the signal, okay? So the higher the amplitude get, the more closely we are in touch with what that is related to its source energy, okay? The pure resonance energy. So we look at red here. Okay, look at this. Here's 17, and red elevated for hours twice. Okay, huge, like mountains in the chart. And when you look at the frequency range of red, look how incredibly restricted it is. It's even more restricted than the green right now. Now, you can look at this as the range of operation of the forces of darkness, okay? You could also look at it at the range of operation of very dense human emotions. So things are tightly packed right now in that part of the human experience and in that part of the spiritual experience on the planet. So we come up here, and this has been going on for a few days where the red range was very tight. And then suddenly with the transformation, with the review of the alternate experiences of this event leading towards healing, okay, we get these huge shifts in red and in the other frequencies as well. But it's very noticeable in red because it breaks out of this really thin range that it's been in. What does this mean? I think it means a couple things. It could be a dramatic, movement by the dark forces, like a sudden expression, but maybe short because look how restricted they've been. So maybe short in time or short in impact. Because this movement relative to the previous restrictions is over a much shorter period of time. That's why I'm saying that. It could also be that the human depth of emotion, our passion, our anger, our fear, just like boom, like we get this big expansion of that, okay, in some way as we go through transformation. And, it makes sense because when you heal something, you let the energies out and you feel them as you heal them. That's my experience anyway. Okay, so I think that's probably a pretty accepted way of things happening. Now, prior to this movement in red, the yellow had been very, very active, the astral. And so I think that it was like first we had the expression in the astral, which is less dense emotionally, mentally, in my view, than the red, okay, for the human experience. So first you get the astral, and then now we're seeing the red movement and expansion of this energy, like really feeling it, right, as this rises up. And then it's interesting, it rises up, and then when it has the transformation, it moves back down. That's really interesting. So the quality spike before the frequency movements. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?